Good morning. Can I just take my microphone again, please? Good morning. Sorry, could I take my microphone, please?
Can hear you, Sean.
Thank you.
Kaya ukuthi TV.
Good morning, councillors. My time is now 10 o'clock. Can I ask whoever to put their mic? Thank you very much. We're going to continue now. Could I please ask Councillor van Niekerk, Councillor Nias to open in prayer for us, please?
So I will do it. Thank you. Give me a chance.
Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your great love and blessings over our lives. Thank you that your favor has no end, but it lasts for the entire lifetime. Forgive us for sometimes forgetting that you are intimately acquainted with all of our ways, that you know what concerns us and you cover us as with a shield. We ask for your guidance so that we might walk fully in your blessings and goodness today. We ask that your face would shine upon us, that you would open the right doors for us lives and for our loved ones, that you would close the wrong doors and protect us. Bless this meeting today, all those present, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterward. Ready us to make every moment count. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'm going to therefore ask that the corporate services do the roll call for me, please.
Okay.
Rosemary, can you do the roll call? Who is going to do the roll call for us?
Morning, Speaker. Morning, everybody. Councillor Adams.
I says good morning. Goeiemorgen. I'm present.
Councillor Alexander.
Goeiemorgen, goeiemorgen. Okay.
Councillor America. Councillor Barnard.
Good morning, present.
Councillor Brown. Councillor Busak.
Good morning, Rosemary. I'm present.
Councillor Carolus.
Good morning, present.
Councillor Clark.
Present, Rosemary. Good morning.
Councillor Kudis.
Morning, present.
Councillor Cronje.
Good morning, President.
Councillor Dutoy.
Goeiemôre Rosemary, ek is teenwoordig.
Councillor Esau. Councillor Edie Vigeland.
Morning, Sandros, present.
Councillor RG Vigeland.
RG Vigeland present. Good morning, everybody.
Councillor Frey.
Goeiemôre, Frey is teenwoordig.
Councillor Kom. Councillor Greef.
Goeiemôre, Rosemary teenwoordig.
Councillor Goldie.
Councillor Kom. Struggling with the network with the laptop. No?
Good morning, everyone. Councillor Goldie present. Thank you.
Councillor Hani.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Yankees.
Very good morning, ma'am. I am.
Councillor Jay.
Goeiemôre.
Councillor Johnson.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Kleinhans.
Good morning, Marous, present.
Alderman Kritzinger.
Good morning, Ms. Bredenkamp, present.
Councillor Kruger.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Linto.
Good morning, Marous, I'm present. Thank you.
Councillor Losey.
Good morning, everyone. I'm present.
Councillor Lau,
Goeiemôre, teenwoordig.
Councillor Mankele,
Good morning, Councillor Mangale, present.
Councillor Mbeki,
Morning, Maros, Councillor Mbete, present.
Councillor Etim Jaka, Councillor F. Ndaka,
Dhaka Faith is here. Dhaka is on leave. Thank you. The other one.
Councillor Mrukuli,
Good morning, present.
Councillor Namele,
Good morning, colleagues. Present, Maros.
Councillor Neethlen,
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Niaus,
Rosemary, Niaus teenwoordig, dankie.
Councillor Ntondini, Councillor Peterson, Councillor Philander,
Sorry, Rosemary. Peterson present.
Good morning, present.
Councillor Katana,
Morning, everyone. Katana is present.
Councillor Kampi, Councillor Roelse,
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everybody. Present.
Councillor Cyphers,
Present, Rosemary. Present. Good morning.
Councillor Simmers,
Summers present.
Councillor Smart,
Present. Thank you.
Councillor Snyman,
I'm present. Thank you very much, Rosemary.
Councillor Standard,
I'm present, Rosemary.
Councillor Toto,
Good morning, present.
Alderman van die Kerk,
Present, thank you.
Alderman van Wyk,
I'm present, Rosemary. Good morning.
Councillor von Brandes,
Present, Rosemary. Thank you.
Councillor R. Foster,
Goeiemôre, teenwoordig.
Councillor S. Foster,
Hi, good morning, present.
Councillor Wessels,
Present, Rosemary. Thank you.
Councillor Van Wyk.
Goeiemôre, Rosemary, teenwoordig.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. At this point, I'm going to move on to item 2, which is the disclosure of interest of councillors, Schedule 7 of the Code of Conduct for Councillors. Item 6, disclosure of benefits by municipal staff members. Item 5 of the Code of Conduct for municipal staff members. I'd like to ask if there's anyone that has anything to declare. I take that as a no. We'll move on. The next item on the agenda is item 3, which is matters at the discretion of the Speaker. I have nothing at this point.
Speaker?
Sorry,
Speaker?
I have not recognized any names, and I have had no items before the time. However, I must apologize for the fact that the items went out late. I've had a lot of complaints from the councillors that the late items were received very late, and a lot of people were not able to open those items. I therefore apologize for that. I received the item on Friday and was sent out Friday afternoon. I'm moving on, as I said, to item 4.4. Sorry, who is? Sorry?
It's Councillor Yesu, Speaker.
Councillor Esu, I have not recognized your hand.
I'm sorry, Speaker. I'm struggling here. Sorry, man. The network this side of the mountain is very bad.
Okay. Are you putting your name up as present for the meeting? Were you were you not able to call your name out in the roll call?
Yes, that's one chief.
Okay.
That's one speaker, and then also, Speaker. I would urgently like to, if you allow me to raise a motion of extreme emergency. which just came to my attention right now.
Councillor Iesu, I need you to put that in the chat box. Unfortunately, the rules of order are maintained. So please put it in the chat box. Let me have a look at the motion of exurgency. And I will deal with that if necessary. Please, thank you. I'm going to continue. The confirmation of the minutes of the previous meetings, item 4.1, minutes of the special council meeting held on the 16th of January. Do I have a...
Speaker, sorry, my hand is up on the previous item.
Okay. I didn't see your hand, sorry. My apologies for some reason. Did you write it in the chat box as well?
You
Okay.
asked whether we had anything to declare. I need to
Okay.
touch on that one.
Go ahead.
Speaker, I just need to state that we are dealing with an item regarding the waiver, and I think that that item probably relates to all councillors as well as officials. So I don't know whether we all need to declare our interest on that matter or not. So just to cover us, I need to put that on record that we're all affected by that one item. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. As you said, we have then all got interest, the entire council has interest in that, but we'll continue that and that's on record. Okay, can we move on then? Item 4.1, minutes of the special E-Council meeting held on the 16th of January 2024. Do I have a mover?
Yes, Speaker. Councillor Mbete.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Gultig, second.
I took it as Councillor Gultig as the seconder. 4.2, minutes of the ordinary E-Council meeting held on the 25th of January 2024. Do I have a acceptance?
Brown proposes.
Clark,
Neil,
second.
second.
I have Councillor Brown and Councillor Niehaus seconds. We move on to item 4.3, minutes of the special E-Council meeting held on the 23rd of February. Do I have a move on that?
As proposed.
Barnard will second.
Thank you very much. We therefore move on to item 5, reports to council. Item 5.1, oversight report of the Municipal Public Accounts Committee on the 22-23 annual report of George Municipality. And the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Du Toit. You have 4 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity to present the council the 2022-23 oversight report. The purpose of this report is to table the oversight report on the final annual report 2022-23 for adoption and approval as in Annexure A. In terms of the MFMA, the following sections are applicable. Section 127.2, 121, 129.2, 129.3, and 132.1. The annual report was tabled to Council on the 25th of January 2024 and was also made public on the same date. MPAC had meetings on the 8th of February discussing the annual report, and on the 12th there was an MPAC meeting with the ward councillors and the ward committees in the Civic Centre. Speaker, we've received 100 questions and comments which administration answered in the report, and it was taken up in the oversight report. Then, Speaker, I want to propose the recommendations to Council on page 854, A, B, C, D, and E. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the ANC. You have 2 minutes, please. ANC, you have 2 minutes, please.
Good morning, Chief Whip. Good morning, Speaker, and good morning to the councillors. Speaker, singumbutho wesizwe, Speaker, uyakhwankqisa ufumanisa i-report, i-oversight ifika kanye ngexesha ika-2023 to 2022, 2023. ukuthi imali inkcitho mali echithwayo eGeorge umasipala okhokhelwa iDA baya underspenda kwinkcitho bafanele bayichitha. Imali eninzi ayichithwa, ayiwenzi umsebenzi efanele uyawenza. Loo nto ke ngoku iyamangalisa kakhulu ukuthi utheni every time kusenziwa ibudget imali ayichithwa ngumasipala wethu. Loo nto iyasimangalisa kakhulu singumbutho wesizwe. Siyiqaphele ke loo nto kwizinto ezininzi. Enkosi.
Thank you. Could we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, councillors. As the ANC, we as the national party, actually surprises us to see this oversight report of the year 2022-2023 this time, because the money that has been spent by this George municipality, DA-led municipality, does not actually do the work that it was supposed to do. That surprises us as this party. So we are just surprised. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Brown. You have 2 minutes, please.
Morning, colleagues. Morning, Speaker. Thank you. I would like to support the recommendation made by my colleague. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The next item is the item 5, the reports to council. And I'm going to ask the Alderman van Niekerk to please bring that table it for us, please.
Alderman van Niekerk.
Sorry, my
Probably Van Wyk.
Sorry, my apologies.
I believe Van Wyk, yes. I just want
sorry.
to say I can do it.
No, no problem. Thank you very much, Alderman van Wyk. Please, can you continue?
Good morning, Speaker. Thank you. We have been through the process of dealing with the annual report. It initially was brought to council at the end of January, and we have now followed the due process that needs to be taken in terms of participation and receiving comments from the various treasuries and the Auditor General and from the public. And these have now been incorporated in the annual report. Naturally, there's always the refining work that needs to be done on editing, and I therefore wish to thank the administration for their considerable efforts in putting together a quality document so that we can be proud of our annual report for 22-23. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Brandes. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Speaker. As mentioned by the previous speakers, at the council meeting of the 25th of January, the Executive Mayor tabled the draft annual report for the financial year 2022-2023. On that council, in dealing with the tabled draft annual report, council resolved the following: that cognizance be taken of the draft annual report, that it must be disclosed. We must invite public to submit representation. We invite the public and relevant organs of state to attend the council meeting of the 25th of February when the annual report and oversight report will be discussed. And then last but not least, the annual report to be referred to impact for the preparation and submission of the oversight report. This process was followed as indicated on page 1290. All of the resolutions set out above has been completed by impact and has considered and evaluated the report and is attached as attachment B to the agenda. Attached also find the following attachments: A, the Auditor General report; C, the financial statements; D, the annual performance report; E, the annual report of the Audit Committee to Council. I therefore propose the recommendations on page 1292 A to C.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Hani. You have 2 minutes.
I already speak, Speaker, on which item? 5.2.
Yes, Councillor, 5.2.
Okay. Kwakhona Speaker, ingaba singayifumana phi i-insurance yokuba amaxesha amisiweyo phaa ku-page 129 aye agcina kwaye agityiselwe ngamatye na? Le ngxelo iseza kuvavanywa, ivavanywe, ixoxwe, ize iphicotwe ngamaqumrhu neengcaphephe ezininzi. Ngoko ke masingachithi ixesha elininzi singena kwiinkcukacha okwangoku.
Are you finished, Councillor?
Yes, I'm done, Mthanji.
Thank you. Can I have the translation, please?
Speaker, thank you. Again, we just want to know where are we going to get the assurance that this report is per page 1292 will be kept, and this report still needs to be tested and discussed properly by different parties and by people who are involved in it. So let us not waste time by going into details in depth, because this still needs to be discussed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Carolus. You have 2 minutes. Is there somebody from the PBI that can talk? The time is running. PBI, please.
Ja, Speaker, dankie vir hierdie geleentheid. Die PBI kan ongelukkig nie hierdie approval en adoption ondersteun nie. Ons het een probleem en dis een woordjie en dis dienslewering. Die PBI wil ongelukkig of wil hiermee die volgende gebreke uitwys rondom dienslewering. Ons kyk na deernisprobleme, ons kyk na ons kragprobleme en ons kyk na ons mense se hoë waterrekeninge. Die PBI wil nie net hierdie report kritiseer nie. As ons kyk na ons deernismense, die armstes van die armstes sukkel om deernis afgehandel te kry. Ons kyk as ons op 'n goeie dag by die munisipaliteit aankom, dan sien ons lang rye. En dit is meestal ons bejaardes, want hulle is die mense wat die huishoudings aan die gang hou. As ons gaan kyk na ons elektrisiteitsprobleme rondom ons deernismense en die 20 M's wat afgeforceer word, Speaker, kan ons net vra waar gaan ons mense se hulp vandaan kom? Waterrekeninge van deernis huishoudings en die afskryf daarvan is selfs 'n baie groot probleem. Speaker, selfs ons middel-income huishoudings klop deesdae aan by die oppositiepartye, want hulle kan nie meer kop bo water hou nie. Ag nee ook. Ja, Speaker, ek sien my kollega het ook nog 'n probleem op my rekenaar. Selfs die rekenmense van George wil raak.
Sorry, Councillor, you have two computers on at the same time. I can't hear nothing. One has to go off and the other one needs to go on, please. Just while we're waiting for that to go ahead, Councillor Alexander, I see your hand up. I accept that you are present in the meeting and you do not have a chat box.
Speaker, ja, Speaker, kan ek aangaan?
Yes, continue, please.
Ja, Speaker, jammer, ons het probleme hierso. Ja, Speaker, self die rykmense van George begin by die oppositiepartye aanklop vir hulp, want verhoogde tariewe in swak dienste raak nou ook vir hulle. George word op hierdie stadium word hy 'n munisipaliteit vir die superrykes, want dit is die rykmense van George wat op hierdie stadium dienste kan bekostig. Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Could we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Well, unfortunately, the PBI does not approve or does not support for this report to be approved and adopted because there are quite a few problems that we have, especially when it comes to service delivery for our people. Number one, we were looking at the problem of electricity and the water bills. That is quite challenging and a problem to our people because people come in here and people queue here. When we enter here, we see how the indigent people are queuing because they've got a problem with their electricity. So this report cannot be finalized at all because there is a problem, especially with the 20 amps. People also have a problem with regards to that. It seems like we don't know where our people will get their help from because there's problem with the water bills. People have got a problem, and it seems like it's challenging in our communities because now the indigent or people who cannot afford does not get any help. Only people who have, or the rich people can actually afford what is happening, and because they get the services that they deserve. But as for our people, there is still a problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander. You have 1 minute, please.
Speaker, ek kan niks hoor in die vergadering. Dit ek kan totaal niks hoor en ek het dit op IT ook report.
Councillor, that unfortunately I can do nothing about that because we're not hearing an echo at all. There must be a problem on your side, but you are being audible, so you can continue with your 1 minute, please, regarding item 5.2. Councillor, I'm giving you another chance. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next speaker, please. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to move on to Councillor Nkumile. Councillor Nkumile, you've got 1 minute.
Somlomo ndibulise kwakhona Somlomo thina siyi-EFF sinengxaki ingakumbi ke mayelana nezinto ezimbalwa esezikhankanyiwe apha xabam ukususela ke kwi-issue ye-service delivery esiyibonayo ukuthi ichaphazela abantu kakhulu kwizinto ke ezistatiweyo ke kule lantuza kule report ka-2022-2023 zichaphazela kakhulu uluntu and ke ngoku ngakumbi emanzini nasembaneni. So thina siyi-EFF asiyisapoti kwaye ke asikwazi uyi-approve asiyi-adopte i-report le ezithizi wena Somlomo ngoba ke kwizinto ezifana ne-crime nezinto ezifana ke nezibhedlele neekliniki nee-ambulance ekusuppose uba zikhona kwiilokishi zethu in terms of yonke le lantuza le report ayihambiselani kunye nazo. So speaker thina siyayikhaba singumbutho we-EFF.
Can I have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. As the EFF, we have a problem with few things that have already been mentioned in this 2022-2023 report because it affects the service delivery of our people, mainly the water and electricity that is actually affecting our people. So as the EFF, we do not support and we cannot approve and adopt this report, especially to mention the crime and the clinics and other services that needs to be in our communities. But as for now, they are actually not happening in our communities. So we are not in support of this report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So noted. Can we move on then? Councillor Alexander, I'm moving on. You have not taken your time. I'm going to move on to Councillor Fry. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Councillor Fry will not be speaking. I will on his behalf, but not here. Speaker, this is an annual report, which, as some people call it, it is history. It has already happened. I would like to thank the administration for putting it together and for bringing everything listed in it to our attention. And I would therefore like to support the recommendation made by my colleague Councillor Jackie von Brandes, that we accept the recommendations before us from A through to C. I so propose. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The item therefore is adopted, and we move on to the next item, 5.3, the draft George Municipality second review of the 5th Generation Integrated Development Plan, IDP 2022 to 2027. The IDP and budget public participation meeting scheduled for April 2024. The person to bring this in is Alderman van Wyk. You may continue.
Thanks, Speaker. As indicated by you in your reading of the item, this is the draft second review of the 5th Generation IDP for 2022 to 2027, which is now coming to Council. And there will then be a public participation process that will be following in April, so that further comments can be received on the IDP as well as the draft budget, which is due to be tabled later in this council meeting. So this, I think, is an important process, once again, for the public to be able to express their views on the draft IDP that has been reviewed. So this item, therefore, is before council, and my colleagues will take this matter further in terms of proposing and seconding the item. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Brandes. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. As mentioned by the Executive Mayor, this is the second draft review of the IDP, which informs the budget of the municipality and also details the municipality's actions to address the vision, mission, strategic objectives and needs of the community. The municipal IDP must be reviewed annually to ensure that municipalities and community keep track of the progress and implementation of the IDP. And the communities are obviously given an opportunity to provide input and review their needs to make possible revisions to the priorities listed in the municipality's IDP. Now, the George Municipality, as the Executive Mayor has mentioned, will have a public participation open day on the 10th of April, and the written submissions may be made from the period 21st of March to 22nd of April to allow members of the community and stakeholders time to provide written inputs and comments on the draft. The IDP, as stated as an Extra A, was distributed as a separate link. If councillors will look at Chapter 6, where the ward priorities and planning is listed from page 220, and there is a list of the different priorities and the progress on that different priorities, which will obviously be discussed in the public participation. I therefore propose the recommendation on page 19333 A to E. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Hani. You have 2 minutes on item 5.3.
Okay. Kwakhona Speaker, singumbutho wesizwe siyayisupporta i-recommendation needs a reviewer. Uba siyaqaphela, iGeorge is the only town in South Africa esene design zexesha lobandlululo ngaphambili. Even indlela eya edolophini is only one entrance esuka etown ebheka eThembalethu. So need to reviewer nendlela ilandeka indlela kuplanwa ngayo idolophi le. Enkosi.
Thank you, Speaker. Again, we as the ANC, we support the recommendation fully, because that it needs to be reviewed again. Because if you can look, George is the only town which still has the old design of the old previous government that used to govern at those days. Even a road or access or exit that goes and comes to town, it's one. So this really needs to be reviewed so that it can be redesigned again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Lowe. Lowe, you may continue.
Speaker. Speaker, In terms of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Section 1996, objects of local government 910B to ensure the provision of services to the communities in a sustainable manner. The Municipal Systems Act 36 stipulates that a municipality must give effect to its IDP and conduct its affairs in a manner which is consistent with its integrated development plan. The municipal IDP must be reviewed annually to ensure that 1. Municipalities and communities keep track of the progress in implementing development projects and spending of municipal budget. 2. Communities are provided with an opportunity to review their needs and to make possible revisions to the priorities listed in the municipal's IDP. Dit is so dat die wijkkomitee saam met die wijkraad se probleme, behoeftes en projekte identifiseer in die wijk, maar ook dat die administrasie projekte en behoeftes identifiseer wat kerndienste aanbetref, soos byvoorbeeld bulk infrastruktuur. Die hersiening van die IDP is nie net 'n tickbox exercise nie, maar het te doen by die behoefte en die probleme waarmee ons werkersklas sit en in onderontwikkelde gebiede. En by 20 Potches is 'n riool 'n groot probleem vir in Vigelandsraad waar die rioolpyplyn 'n groot probleem is vir al die inwoners wat in daardie stank moet lewe. Dit was tydens die IDP openbare deelname proses verlede jaar geïdentifiseer. Die raad en betrokke afdeling moet hierdie gebied as prioriteit beskou. 'n Tweede probleem wat goed wil uitwys is wijk 7 Marekamp wat dieselfde probleem het as Vigelandsstraat Potchefstroom waar een huis 'n rioolblok dan affekteer dit 5 huise. Die rioollyn in Marekamp moet ook vervang word, spesifiek Marlynstraat. Hierdie riool- en sanitasieprobleme hou gesondheidsgevaar in vir inwoners in die area. Tuberkulose is 'n groot probleem en dit word vererger in gebiede waar rioollyne 'n probleem is. As good party whereby problems and needs are identified by communities through the IDP participation process, funding of projects and implementation is a huge problem. The IDP is a bottom-up process and not a top-down process like in the apartheid era. That's why the IDP must be in terms of the legislation, be a democratic process that communities can have a say in affairs of their communities. It is jammer dat net die draft George Municipality Review of the IDP 2022 tot 2027 hierin is, wat van toepassing is op die MMM.
Dankie Raadslid, Council, your time is up, thank you.
Tydsbeslag na raad toe kom, sodat ons kan as raad kan...
Councillor? Thank you. Councillor, your time is up. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Mentioned the part that was mentioned in Afrikaans. She says the ward committee members and ward councillors identified problems when there was a meeting that was being sent there. That was set and they identified the problem that was there. Therefore, the reviewing of the IDP, it's not just a tick box exercise, but it's actually problems that are identified in certain wards or in those areas that needs to be rectified. So therefore, this redesign is actually needed so that these problems can be identified, so that this problem can be done or looked at as identified. She also made mentions of the problems that they encountered in Potchefstroom in the IDP public meeting that was held there, as made mention of Ward 7 and the problem that is in Marekamp. So she made mention of those problems that were actually identified, and then the rest was in English.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander for the PA. You have 1 minute. Councillor Alexander, I believe that you are being dealt with, being helped by the IT. Is there anybody else from the PA that would like to take this time? I need to move forward if you cannot speak. I'm going to take that as you cannot open your microphone. I'm going to move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Nkumile. You have 1 minute. Councillor Nkumile, please unmute yourself. Your minute starts now.
Enkosi Somlomo, EFF sine concern when it comes to public participation. Siyayibona ba ingo-April, but ngoku sifuna ukuqonda ukuthi ngaba i-public participation econsiderishwayo online only because zange sayibona i-public participation ithatha inxaxheba kumahholo esinawo oluntu apho kubiziswa abantu abangenayo i-access kwi-internet. So kubalulekile ukuthi umasipala ke xa esenza public participation abaconsiderisha abantu abangathathi ntweni eziba inani ke liqela ke abantu ke abangathathi ntweni abalapha ke kwisithili sesegeorge. So thina si-EFF sifuna ukuthi simjongile ke umasipala kwinkqubo zakhe azenzayo, ingakumbi ke xa kusenziwa draft and ke ngoku zireviewisho mazijongwe izinto ke ezifana nezi-indigent ngoba ke aziconsiderisha when it comes to i-public participation apho abantu bezawuphalaza imbilini yabo ngokuthi bava njani kwizinto.
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is up. Thank you very much for your input. Can I have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. As the EFF, our concern that we have is with regards to public participation. We see that it's going to be held in April. So we just want to know, is it going to be a face-to-face meeting that will be held at a community hall, or is it going to be an online public participation process? Because it is very much important for this municipality to consider the indigent people who are poor, who do not actually have access to these online services or such services. So we are watching the municipality as the EFF when it comes to reviewing so that these indigent people can actually be looked after, so that people can be able to attend this public participation in public places where they will be able to express their opinions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Kruger. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. I second the proposal made by my colleague, Councillor von Brandes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The item is therefore adopted. We move on to the next item, which is item, item number 5.4, which is the multi-year draft budget for 2024-25 to 2026-27, also brought in by Alderman van Wyk. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Speaker, Alderman, Deputy Mayor, Chief Whip, Councillors, Municipal Manager, Directors, officials, members of the public and the media. Section 16.2 and 17.3 of the Municipal Finance Management Act require the Mayor to table a draft budget and operating budget for the 24-25 through to the 26-27 medium-term revenue expenditure framework, the MTREF, at a council meeting at least 90 days before the start of the budget year. With Georgia's population having reached just short of 295,000 according to the Feb 22 census, along with the growth being experienced, we face further challenges with every budget. The following example demonstrates how we are having to manage these larger budgetary challenges. In the 8 financial years from 2014 to 2021, our actual capital expenditure amounted to 1,850 million. By the end of March 2024, we will in all probability have exceeded that total in less than 3 years, after taking into account the spending in 2022, 2023 and the current 2024 financial year. The emphasis over the past few years has been on growing and improving infrastructure that is the requisite for attracting investment and increased levels of employment that we desperately need to provide a better way of life for our citizens. As a country, we are hardly growing our economy at a rate of something below 1% per annum, while experiencing levels of inflation of almost 5%. We are at present witnessing the widespread collapse of state capacity. Examples are ongoing load shedding and water shedding, as many metropolitan areas are unable to provide water to citizens and their economies on a sustainable basis. Transnet Freight Rail and the port operations are similarly underperforming. Roads are crumbling in many areas. Within the Western Cape, we are working at full speed to counter this collapse by driving high standards of service delivery and infrastructure. This is the context of the preparation of our draft budget for the MTREF. The annual budget may only be funded from realistically anticipated revenues to be collected after considering collection levels for the current year and actual revenue collected in previous financial years. Provincial and National Treasury will only approve a credible funded budget that makes budgetary provision for affordable services to the community if the activities are consistent with the IDP, within the financial constraints of the municipality, and achievable in terms of agreed service delivery and performance targets. At all times, there needs to be financial viability to ensure that the financial position is maintained within generally accepted prudential limits. Furthermore, draft budgets tabled for consultation at least 90 days prior to the start of the budget should already be credible and close to the final approved budget. A strategy guided by Council's long-term financial plan was followed with a compilation of the draft budget. The municipality needs to focus on its core functions. During the February 24 adjustments budget process, the Budget Committee and portfolio councillors, in conjunction with the heads of departments, scrutinized the budget to effect all possible savings and to align the capital budget to achievable goals. And here are some of these examples. The Feb 23-24 adjustments budget was the base for the 24-25 MTREF. The need to maximize revenue through efficiencies and the way we do business before we decide to increase our rates, service charges, and other tariffs was again emphasized. A renewed focus on enforcing all the credit control actions to maximize the payment ratio and collections was also emphasized. Revenue enhancement assessment to ensure that all consumers are billed correctly and are contributing to the municipality's revenue as set out in our tariff policy. The need to ensure an optimized credit control and debt collection processes was also stressed to improve the debt collection ratio. A 95% ratio was assumed for this budget, even though the year-to-date ratio is only at 93%, which is the equivalent of 40 to 45 million rand below target. A contribution of 99.9 million rand was made to the provision for debtors' impairment in the operating budget. The writing off of irrecoverable debt will continue to be scrutinized through the business processes of the internal credit control unit. Although George Municipality received the budget facility for infrastructure, the BFI grant of 1.1 billion rand for the upgrade of bulk water services and the upgrading and rehabilitation of other core wastewater infrastructure, the need remains high as reflected in the capital budget. The risks associated with the ongoing problems with Eskom's operations and the resultant disruption in electricity affects our own infrastructure, households and business through load shedding. These risks need to be mitigated. The task team is meeting weekly to deal with the technical, regulatory and financial complexities of the proposed 9-megawatt solar PV plant, another 30-megawatt solar plant, the associated battery energy storage systems required, along with substations and equipment to provide dispatchable power. These latter projects involve an investment upwards of 1.6 billion rand. Capacity at the Hwaing wastewater treatment works will need to be upgraded to cater for further development, including that of the next industrial area. Considerable amounts will also need to be invested in streets and stormwater infrastructure. National Treasury sent out MFMA budget circulars numbers 126 and 128 in December 23 and March 24 to provide guidance to municipalities on their 24-25 budget and the MTREF. In turning to the capital budget, what has been prioritized, commencing with 23-24, the 23-24 adjustments budget in February, and also the focusing on the upgrading of the core infrastructure are key areas that are being focused on. 250 million rand is allocated from the RBIG grant to finalize the various BFI-funded projects. 51.8 million rand is appropriated over the MTREF for the installation of solar panels and battery energy storage systems across the municipal infrastructure network, with a further 8.96 million rand to reduce reliance on backup generators through alternative energy solutions. These initiatives seek local solutions to the national energy crisis, aiming to enable economic stability and growth in George and reduce the levels of load shedding experienced by all. 28 million rand is allocated to finalize the upgrading of the York Hostel building to increase the available office space for the municipality and uplift the surrounding CBD over the MTREF period. 45.8 million rand will be used to procure new fleet vehicles to ensure that service delivery is maintained and expanded to meet the growing public demand in 24-25, with a total of 95.4 million rand over the MTREF period. 69 million rand is allocated over the 3-year period to ensure water security for George through the rehabilitation of the ultrafiltration plant. 53.4 million rand has been allocated on the budget for the upgrading of the Huang wastewater treatment works over this period to unlock necessary industrial urban for future development within George. An overall 701 million rand is allocated to street and stormwater projects over the period. In total, the capital budget has been projected at 1,098 million for 24-25, a further 1,094 million for 25-26, and 778 million rand for 26-27, amounting to just under 3 billion rand over the 3-year period. It is anticipated that this budget will be funded from internal funding from the CRR of 295 million rand, external loans of 467 million rand, and grants of 336 million rand. In tabling this budget, the Budget Committee is of the view that the needs for George exceed the current available levels of funding. This will require that internally a critical review is required with regard to revenue generation, while the access to larger infrastructure grants also need to be explored. Turning now to the operating budget, it is necessary that cost-reflective tariffs be determined to cater both for affordability levels given Georgia's peculiar circumstances of the makeup of its customer base, while also ensuring the financial sustainability of the municipality. National Treasury has set projected increases for 24-25 within the 4 to 6% target range. The tariff increase for bulk electricity purchases of 12.72% was announced by Eskom and approved by NERSA. To have a funded budget, the following average increases for municipal revenue are accordingly recommended. For property rates, for water, for sanitation, for refuse and general other at 6%, and electricity at 12%, which is subject to the determination by NERSA. The total operating revenue has been set at 3,942 million rand. The budgeted own generated revenue from the 5 main services and rates amounts to 2,209 million rand. Total operating expenditure has been determined at 3,473 million rand. This budget therefore includes a salary increase of 6.13 million rand, although this increase has not yet been set in terms of the bargaining council agreement. Repairs and maintenance has been increased by 5 to 6%, and contracted services and general expenses are increased by 2%. Indigent support. The indigent qualification criteria is based on guidance issued by the National and Provincial Treasuries, the Department of COGTA, and the Auditor General of South Africa. Implementation and compliance to the indigent benefit is specifically reviewed annually by the Auditor General as part of the external audit. The clean audits issued to George Municipality over the past 3 years indicate that the indigent policy is being correctly applied. The general cost of living has increased dramatically in South Africa in recent years. This impacts on lower income households along with the simultaneous destructive impact of unemployment caused by the failing national economy, persistent high levels of load shedding, interest rates, and fuel price levies. Indigent support is not subsidized from services charges collected from the citizens of George, but from the equitable share allocation received annually through the Division of Revenue Act, in other words known as the DORA. The DORA of 22 February 2024 indicates that the equitable share allocation to municipalities countrywide is being reduced. For George, the 24-25 allocation is 230.4 million rand, which is a reduction of 5.3 million rand from the 235.7 million rand that was previously announced. For 25-26, the allocation is now 248.6 million rand instead of 260.3 million rand, a reduction of 11.6 million rand. The entire equitable share allocation is applied for the benefit of indigent, poor and lower income households and will not be reduced in line with the reductions in allocated funding. The proposed package of free basic services allocated to indigents will increase from 1,234 rand a month in the 23-24 financial year, the current year, to 1,318 rand per month for 24-25. With regard to the increase in property rates, there are a number of rebates for lower income owners and pensioners. So all owners of residential properties that are used for residential purpose are then going to be entitled to a rebate of 40% on the property rates on such properties if their total income as defined by the municipal property rates policy is less than 156,000 rand per annum. This is equivalent to a 30% increase in the rebate, or then a rebate of 20% on the property rates on such properties for those earning above 156,000 rand per annum up to 174,000 rand, and that also is equivalent to an increase in the rebate. Further, a rebate of 30%, which is up from 15% of property rates, will be applicable to pensioners earning up to 330,000 rand, which increases then from 276,000 rand per annum on the first 2 million rand valuation of the property. Previously, this was on the first 1 million rand. This will apply to persons over the age of 65 years for their single primary resident. Just remarking on electricity tariffs. As an electricity distributor, George is obliged by NERSA to undertake a cost of supply study every 5 years. This process provides for the introduction of a fixed charge component within the electricity tariff structure. The purpose of this fixed charge is to specifically allocate funding for the ongoing maintenance of the electricity distribution network. With an increasing number of electricity consumers migrating towards cheaper and renewable energy alternatives, which then reduces revenue for the municipality, it also that results in a shrinking of the customer base who have to bear the cost of network maintenance. The first phase introduced fixed charges as well as a capacity charge. An attempt was made to protect indigent and other lower energy users through a differentiated capacity charge. The worsening scenarios of the poor economic circumstances and increased load shedding has meant that the full implementation of the cost of supply study is being reviewed. Small-scale energy generators, distributed generators, and wheeling customers. George Municipality applied to the Ministry of Finance for exemption, amongst others, from the provisions of the MFMA Section 33 when it purchases electricity from small-scale embedded generators, distributed generators, and wheeling consumers. So that includes people who then have their own solar PV installation at home and are generating excess electricity that can be sold back to the municipality. A public consultation process will be incorporated in George Municipality's IDP and budget process to alert the public of the proposed project. The purchase of electricity from customers will be managed via an electricity surplus agreement signed with these customers. These contracts agreements will impose financial obligations on the municipality for a period longer than the 3 financial years covered in the 24-25 MTREF. These agreements will be subject to a technical approval. Lastly, with respect to GIPTN, the George Integrated Public Transport Network, the capital and operating grants are being received amount to a total of 442.7 million for the 24-25 year. At the end of last week, we received notification that an additional amount of 505 million rand will be transferred to George in terms of the DORA to be spent on GIPTN projects. This funding has been diverted from metropolitan cities who have been unable to spend grants that were allocated to them. In tabling this draft budget, Speaker, I wish to express my gratitude to the municipal manager, the CFO, directors, the Budget Office, and all other members of the administration who have spent long hours, many of them at night and over weekends, to prepare this budget. Councillor Wessels has also made huge efforts in bringing this budget to Council, and the MMCs have also played their roles. Further comments on the budget will be delivered by other speakers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman van Wyk. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and thank you to the Mayor for the tabling of the draft budget. Speaker, I firstly would like to emphasize that this draft is now open for public participation and that we really encourage everyone to participate to ensure that this is a budget that speaks to the need of all our communities. With the services increasing at 6%, except for electricity, it's for all to see that the municipality is doing its best to ensure that we provide reliable, accessible and affordable services for all. The Eskom problem remains, but over the MTREF, we have allocated a significant amount to curb and alleviate load shedding and the job impact thereof, because without electricity, we simply cannot create jobs. As the national government keeps reducing grants and equitable share, George remains committed to provide services to the poorest of the poor, with an indigent package of over 1,200 Rand per month and 20 units of electricity more than what national government prescribes. I would also like to make special mentions of the 40% rebates of pensioners earning less than 13,000 Rand per month, the 20% rebate of pensioners earning between 13 and 14,500 Rand per month, and the 30% of property rates on the first 2 million for pensioners earning up to 330,000 Rand per annum. I think this truly speaks to the core function of us as a municipality. George Municipality is spending over 1 billion in the capex on affordable quality services and 42 million on projects ensuring good governance and human capital. Speaker, it is with this that I propose the draft budget, and again I would like to encourage all to participate, ensuring that we continue to serve the people, that we continue to serve George and all its people. So I thus propose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Hani. You have 2 minutes.
Wakhona Speaker, siyabulisa. Speaker, i-budget lena siyacela xana seyithunyelwa mayingathunyelwa late because sifumene only Friday afternoon ilantika le i-agenda ye-meeting. Okwesibini, kule draft budget ka-2024-2025 to 2027 siyayiva and siyayi-understanda, but okubuhlungu kwi-budget nganye kamasipala yonke le minyaka ayenzi le nto kuthiwa ibhajethelwe for yona. Siyacela kwii-area zethu, especially as disadvantaged communities like Conville, Rosmo, Thembalethu, Conville, Botchas. Xa nekuzokubekho ii-floods apha, abantu abaninzi bangabumka namanzi because i-storm water pipes zethu azikho enough for ukukhupha amanzi ziwase kwicala le milambo nemifula because mincinci. Okwesibini, kwindaba yebudget yaseThembalethu kwipipe besuwa, oopipe besuwa bancinci kakhulu, sikhala lonke eli xesha ukuthi oopipe bethu besuwa abekho enough ngokwesize yolantike yoopipe besuwa. Siyacela ukuthi nayo ibudget yethu mayike yenze lo msebenzi kuthiwa iyawenza because kumaxesha amaninzi imali iyajika ibuyele back ku-National Treasury. Siyacela abantu bakuthi siya-understand ukuthi umbutho we-DA ophethe kodwa bangangasivisi kabuhlungu ngolu hlobo abantu bethu. Siya-understand nokuba i-population inyukile eGeorge ngo-30%, but abantu abampofu sinabanxhekwazana apha indoda akazukwazi umelana nokunyuswa kwe-increase yombane up to 14%. So into sicela ukuthi mazenzeke, ibudget siyayibona siyayiqwalasela ibudget, but sicela ezo zinto ezi xa into ibhajethelweyo mayenze le nto ibhajethelweyo for yona. Enkosi.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Just in time, could we have the translation,
Thank you, Speaker.
please?
As the ANC, yes, we see this budget that is actually laid in front of us today, but what we ask, can it please be sent on time, because we only received it on Friday afternoon, so there was no ample time for us to look at it. So let it be sent on time so that we can be able to look at it. Now, the draft budget 2024, 2025 to 2027, yes, we understand, but sadly, always the budget of this municipality does not serve its purpose, because the budget is supposed to cater and look at the disadvantaged areas, namely your Conville areas, your Parkdean, your Borges, your Parkersdorp, your Thembalethu, and other previously disadvantaged areas, but it does not serve this purpose because we have a problem with, we don't know what will happen should we sit with floods. It means that we'll be flooded because the pipes are too small. We have a problem with sewerage pipes in Thembalethu. We have been reporting that year after year, but it seems like the needs of our people are not being catered or looked after because money goes back to National Treasury without being spent on these necessary problems and needs that we have as the community. We do understand that there's an increase in the population of George, increased by 30%, but please look at our elderly people, because elderly people will not be able to afford the increase in the tariffs. So please let this budget serve its purpose as it's supposed to. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the draft budget refers. Once again, we are presented with a draft budget that is not pro-poor. The needs of our community were once again not taken into consideration. This is not acceptable in this current economic situation in which we find ourselves. Surely something could have been done to help the less fortunate during this process. Mr. Mayor, we notice that the same rhetoric about load shedding is still reflected in most of the draft budget. Yet your party voted against the nuclear proposal in 2014 that would have helped to rectify this dire situation. This is like complaining with a white bread under your arm. The fact that load shedding is impacting on most of our daily budgets cannot be underestimated, and the need for consumers to move to alternative energy sources is evident. We need to, however, embrace the process and not penalize consumers that seek to use different forms of energy. Mr. Mayor, we noticed that an amount of 1.6 billion is budgeted for loans over the next few years. This is an extreme amount that will have to be shielded with tariff increases to the detriment of the ratepayers. The borrowing of monies that create inflationary pressures on consumers must be reconsidered. Mr. Mayor, the percentage increases proposed are above the inflation threshold and should be reconsidered. We are also still awaiting feedback regarding the illegal tariff hikes for some services during the 2022-2023 financial year. Mr. Mayor, the effect of this budget on the indigent consumers needs to be taken into account. Alleviation of the plight of the poor is of paramount importance. We are also still awaiting feedback on when the introduction of the AMP system went through a public participation process, as stated in your item. We also believe that if the net for qualification is widened, that more consumers that are currently on the fringes will be accommodated. We thank you and hope the shortcomings of this budget will be addressed in due course, and that you will relay this message to the apprentice. Thank you,
Councillor. Thank you very much, Councillor. Your time is up. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander, but he has been excused. Is there anyone else from the PA that would like to talk on his behalf? If not, I'm going to move on. Councillor Kampi, is there somebody from the PA? Yes, is there somebody from the PA now present?
Speaker, dankie. Ek het gebruik Foster se rekenaar. Baie dankie. Die PA versoek dat die onregmatige afsny van ons mense se krag onmiddellik gestop word. Daar moet ook genoeg voorsiening gemaak word vir ons wanneer bijvoorbeeld so sopkombuise, sodat daar nie meer probleme kan kom wanneer hulle vergoeding moet kry nie. Ons vra ook dat hulp aan sopkombuise verhoog moet word na R2000 per maand. Skoon my. En dan wil ons ook die PA vir dat daar genoeg geld beskikbaar gestel word vir die openbare werke program. Die PA versoek ook dat dienstegelde en die elektrisiteitsheffings bekostigbaar vir ons inwoners aangewend word. Dan ons ook voorheen benadeelde gebiede se riool en infrastruktuur verbeter kan word. Baie dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Could we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. We as the ESPA, we request that the immediate cutting off of electricity for our people be stopped, and that there should be an increase when it comes to our soup kitchens, the money that people get, at least let it be increased to 2,000 rand per month so that people can be able to assist. Also, the public works program, the services charges for our people should be affordable for our citizens, because people are not able to afford the services that are currently being charged. And lastly, the infrastructure for our disadvantaged areas should also be implemented on the budget so that the infrastructure for these areas can be catered for as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to the next speaker. That is the EFF, Councillor Kampi. I don't know whether she's joined the meeting. If she can continue, she has 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. As the Mayor have tabled the budget, it is as much as Mayor, water is a source of life, and in George we've always received the quality water, which is a great thing, and the roads which we usually maintain daily basis, which is a great thing for those who use the roads for their safety, and also the infrastructure that are provided. But the issue when it comes to Thembalethu, they are not being monitored because they are being produced, yes, they are being destroyed at the same time. But Mayor, there is a concern because now we have to move on. We cannot be stuck in these 3 things or 4 things, because there are cases whereby mothers selling their daughters for money that raise a query, which means there is an issue regarding employment. there's an issue regarding people not being able to maintain their living, which even our municipality is not even trying to assist to that. There is an issue of high rate of youth employment, yet our mayor says he wants to improve the employment standard, which also, Mayor, our greatest concern is the fact that
Thank you,
the
Councillor. Your
indigenous
time is up.
houses are complaining about the cut off of electricity whenever they are buying electricity.
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is up. You only had 1 minute. Could I please have the next speaker on the item? There's the reply. I'm not sure who's speaking on that.
Barnard is addressing that. Thank you. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm quite shocked to hear that no money's been spent in our previously disadvantaged areas. The upgrading of Nkana Street is a 23.7 million project, and PW Botha Boulevard is a 55 million rand project, and those are in areas where works seriously needed. We heard that the average increase on services is only going to be 6%, which is really poor and in line with what we can afford to give our residents. The last thing I need to mention here on our poorest of the poor is that we have upped our indigent subsidy to an amount of 1,234 rand per month, which really does assist. We also have the second biggest and best indigent policy in the country. As far as I'm aware, we're the only municipality that gives 73 units of electricity. And if that is not catering for the poorest of the poor, I really do not know. Our BFI projects are in the vicinity of 250 million, which are spent in all areas of the municipal area. Water is not just provided to one area, it includes all the areas, Thembalethu, Conville, Parkdean, Heatherlands, the works. So it's not fair to say that we only cater for one part of our community. As my colleague Dirk Wessel said, this budget is a draft budget. It is now open for public participation, and we would encourage all communities to get involved and actually say what they want to say on this. And then again, the ANC, one of my colleagues reported that it was not pro-poor. But if you look at what the mayor read into the minutes, you will see that this is really a budget that speaks to all the residents of George, Uniondale, Haarlem, Wilderness, in fact, our entire community. So I therefore recommend, as proposed by my colleague Dirk Wessels, that we accept this draft budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The item is therefore carried, and we have a seconder there. We'll move on to item 5.5, which is the adoption of the George Municipal Sports and Recreation Master Plan. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Adams. You have 3 minutes.
Morning, Speaker. Good morning, everyone. Morning, everyone in George. For the first time in years, or actually for the first time, apologies, we have a sports master plan that we're trying to adopt here today. This plan will inform the municipality on how to spend money on the infrastructure upgrade through our town. The sports master plan is adopted from our IDP, which is being done through in our wards by our ward councillors and by members of our community. So it is a document that speaks of participation of our people. Speaker, on pages 2147 to 2281, I recommend that we adopt the recommendation, and also that we adopt it so that it reads that subject to the ward councillors being permitted to add further suggestions, that is on page 2149, so that we can include other suggestions that is not, or councillors feel that it wasn't made during the IDP. I therefore suggest, Speaker, that we adopt the master plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Yesu. You have 1 minute.
Baie dankie, Speaker. Die ANC verwelkom hierdie meesterplan en dan ook ons regte oprechte dank en waardering aan die sportafdeling vir al die harde werk wat hulle ingesit het. Weer eens baie dankie, Speaker.
Could we just have the translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. The ANC welcome this sports master plan, and we just want to say thank you very much to the sports department for such great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Kouris. You have 1 minute, please.
Dankie, Speaker. Speaker, die PBI stem nie heeltemal saam met hierdie sport en recreation masterplan nie, want nergens is daar 'n genoegsame en dringende plan om alle agtergeblewe gemeenskappe se sportfasiliteite op te gradeer. Skenk asseblief dringend aandag. Alles kom voor as window dressing wat soos vir die volgende 10 jaar gaan sloer. Gemeenskappe bereid. Net 'n voorbeeld, daar was voorheen beplan om by metrogrond wyd 20 'n sportkompleks op te rig. Nou is daar nie meer grond beskikbaar nie. Wat het van die vorige plan geword? PBI dring op daaraan dat grond in alle agtergeblewe gemeenskappe geïdentifiseer moet word vir sportfasiliteite. Alle bestaande fasiliteite so gou spoedig opgegradeer word. Hou in gedagte vir ons jeug is sportfasiliteite 'n veilige heenkomme. Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Could we have a translation?
Thank you, Speaker. The PBI is not agreeing with this master plan because there is no in-depth plan that is actually laid in front of us so that you can be able to understand, because when it comes to the upgrading of the sports facilities, it is very much important because it seems like it's just a window dressing, because we have been waiting and waiting for, we could be waiting for 10 years for something that does not even come to pass, because there was a promises that was made, or there was a master plan that was designed for Ward 20 with regards to a sports complex that was supposed, but now it is said that there is no land available for such. So there should be land that is identified for each ward, so that because sports facilities are very, very much important. And remember, it is a way of keeping our youth and safety in our communities if there are sports facilities that are identified for each ward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Philander. You have 1 minute, please.
Speaker, with grave concern regarding this proposed budget for the construction of a sport facility in our communities. While investing in community infrastructure is abundantly important, the allocation of monies towards these projects raises serious questions. First and foremost, it is crucial to note that several other community grounds are in dire need of attention and investment. These grounds serve as vital spaces for various activities, includes recreation, cultural events, and community gatherings. Yet they are being overlooked in favor of single high-cost projects. The budget allocation not only neglects the urgent needs of other communities' grounds, but also reflects on absurd spending priority. We must prioritize equitable distribution of resources to ensure that all communities have access to well-maintained and functional facilities. In conclusion, I urge the Council to reconsider the allocation of monies for the sport facilities in our communities and instead focus on a more balanced and inclusive approach that addresses the deserved needs of all our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. We therefore move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor America. You have 1 minute, please.
Speaker, thank you very much. I second the proposal made by my colleague, Councillor Adams. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Councillors, as I see that the councillor, the MMC for sport, his hand is up, and as the rules permit, I'm going to allow him to have an input. Councillor, apparently you'd like to add something to the proposal, although it's been adopted. Just your interpretation, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Just for clarity, once again, the master plan is for each and every ward in our town, and the master plan comes from the IDP, which is done by our people. So it's a document that comes from our people and not from certain people. It is from our people on the ground. I encourage all councillors to please take part in this master plan if they need or want something to be done in their ward. to please contact the sports department. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. You can put your hand down now. Thank you. We move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 5.6, which is the Disaster Management Plan. And the first person to speak on that item is Councillor Kruger. You have 3 minutes.
Good day. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the Disaster Management Plan for 2024. I take you to page 2282 of our agenda. Thank you to the administration for this report and for the plan. It's once again a great job done by them. So the recommendation is on page 2283, and that is that Council take note of the Disaster Management Plan for 2024, which you will find the whole plan in our agenda from page 2284 through up until page 2373. I thus so propose. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Gom. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. We as the ANC will note the recommendation, but we also had the question in this disaster management plan based on our areas, because every time when there is a disaster, there is no response, there is no action is taken. So we need to understand as the ANC how this disaster plan is going. It's only focusing on the one side of the other bridge, or it's also focusing for the George as a whole. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next one to speak on this item is Councillor Busak. You have 1 minute.
Good morning, Speaker. The PBI neem kennis van die item 5.6, maar die PBI versoek ook dat daar voorsiening gemaak word vir ons informele areas. Wat dit is in ons agtergeblewende areas moet ook ingesluit word by hierdie disaster management plan. So op die huidige oomblik soos die plan hier voor ons is daar geen voorsiening vir ons agtergeblewe areas, waar meeste van ons areas geïdentifiseer word as die, soos ons sal sê, die plakkerskampe. So daar moet ook voorsiening gemaak word vir dit. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much. Could I have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. The PBI asked that there should be made for our areas as well, especially in the previously disadvantaged areas, because we see that they are not even included in this master plan. So to say the informal settlement areas, that they should be involved, or they should be included in this plan as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next one to speak on this item is Councillor Philander. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would like to pose a question to the George Municipality authorities. What tangible measures have been taken by the municipal administration to benefit our communities, particularly in the disaster management master plan? On the horizon, citizens are eager to know how this plan will bolster our resilience and response capabilities in the face of any unforeseen calamities. Can the municipal authorities shed light on specific initiatives, resources allocated, and collaborative efforts undertaken to mitigate risk, enhance early warning systems, and ensure swift response and recovery in time of crisis? Moreover, how will communities engage and education be integrated into this plan to foster a culture of preparedness amongst residents? Ultimately, as stakeholders in our community's well-being, we seek transparency, accountability, and a comprehensive strategy that prioritizes the safety and welfare of all citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Your questions are noted, but however, unfortunately, you'd have to send them directly to the administration. They will not be answered during the meeting as per the rules and regulations of our Code of Conduct. So those can be addressed to the administration after the meeting. Thank you. We're going to move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Tampi. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. As one of my colleagues have said, the greatest concern we also have as a EFF is the fact that whenever this disaster management plan is made, the informal settlement are being excluded, yet there are our voters, and most of our voters, especially here in Thembalethu, comes from informal settlements. Even the DA do have voters from the informal settlement. And also we find cases whereby now even people are struggling even to get a Camplas. Simple thing as a Camplas, yet you will find officials of the municipality selling the Camplas to our people, which they were supposed to be served freely. And that is a very, very disturbing issue, and that is continuing seemingly that our municipality doesn't put an eye on our resources, doesn't even monitor them when they arrive here. So our people must suffer, yet the officials who are getting salary, permanent salaries with pensions, they yet sell to the poor or poorest these things that they were supposed to get freely. So that is the greatest concern to our municipality. And also with this disaster management plan, whenever it comes, can it not let our
Councillor, unfortunately, you only have 1 minute and your time is up. I really appreciate that. The next one to speak on the item is Councillor Gold. If you have 1 minute, please.
Thank you for the opportunity, Speaker. Disaster where the natural or man-made can strike unexpectedly, causing immense damage. However, with this robust plan, we can minimize the impact. Our plan for George focuses on preparation, community engagement, and collaboration by investing in technology, educating residents, and working closely with authorities. This will enhance the ability to respond swiftly and effectively to crises. In conclusion, this plan covers from Harold's Bay to Wilderness, from Uniondale to Thembalethu. Therefore, all areas are included, especially informal areas. And therefore, I am seconding the disaster management plan for the George municipality as proposed by my colleague, Councillor Kruger. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The item is therefore adopted. We'll move on to the next item, which is item 5.7, which is the expiry date of the terms of disciplinary board and the establishment of a new disciplinary board in terms of the MFMA municipal regulations on financial misconduct procedures and criminal proceedings. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Neethling. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we all know that our disciplinary board is their time is expiring at the end of June. I therefore recommend, as on page 2376, items A, B, C, and D. I so propose.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Suffers. You have 1 minute.
I second the proposal made by my colleague, Councillor Newton.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is item 5.8 in terms of reference of disciplinary board in terms of the local government municipal regulations on financial misconduct procedures and criminal proceedings, gazetted per Government Gazette 37699, dated on the 30th of May 2014. Once again, the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Neethling. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our disciplinary board have to have some regulations and terms of reference how they should work, and I therefore recommend, as on page 2379, item A and B. I so propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Kampi. You have 1 minute, please. Councillor Kampi.
Thank you, Speaker. I support the recommendation as they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that mean you've actually seconded? With regards to Councillor Cronje, you can continue.
Thank you, Speaker. I second the proposal as made by my fellow councillor.
Thank you very much. That item therefore carries. We move on to 5.9, a proposed renewal of the service contract of the Audit Committee member, Mr. Gulwa. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning, Speaker. Yeah, this is a fairly straightforward report where we request the renewal of Mr. B. Gulwa's appointment as a member of the George Municipality Audit Committee for a second and a final term effective from the 1st of April this year till the 31st of March 2027. So I'll propose the recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor F. Mdaka. You have 2 minutes, please. Councillor Mdaka. Councillor Ndaka, this is the last call.
Speaker, yeah, I am here. No, if you can hear me. She is the she, not Mr. Kulwa. She is Miss B. Mangwane. Mnikeni into yakhe, akho ngxaki. Nkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item, therefore, is Councillor Adams. You have 1 minute, please. Councillor, before you continue, Councillor Adams, Councillor Foster, unless you have a motion that has been written in the chat box, I know you're a new councillor, but we need your hand to be in the chat box before we can accept your hand, please. You are not on the speakers list, so therefore I'm moving on to the next speaker on the item, and that is Councillor Adams. You have 1 minute.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the translation of Councillor Faith.
I'm terribly sorry. Could we just do the translation, please?
Speaker, Councillor Faith said she is a female. Give her what is due to her.
Thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Adams, you may now continue. Your 1 minute, please.
Chair, I second the proposal as made by my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The item therefore carries. We move on to 5.10, 510. In principle, approval of proposed cession of notarial lease agreement and for the expansion of the lease area of Inkubeko Youth and Science Center as part of the Project 5 of the NDPP Ilisitoleti node. And the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Johnson.
Good morning and thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, councillors. This item served on the Planning SAT and on the Mayoral Committee where it was supported. So the item before council is to consider, one, the cession of the notarial lease agreement entered into between the George Municipality and the Isu Sombululo Community Improvement Program, NPC, and the expansion of the lease area of the Youth and Science Center as part of the implementation of the Project 5 of the Ilisitoleti node as part of the Neighborhood Development Partnering Program. Mr. Speaker, the expansion of the lease area entails the inclusion of Urban 1788, 1789, 1790, and 1791 as a portion of IRF 1773, Tailora. This to be included in a lease of the Inkubeko Youth and Science Center. So the existing lease area measured approximately at 3,855 square meters in extent, and that's being IRF 11123 Tailora. The expansion area is plus minus 4,769 square meters, which will result in a total project investment area of approximately 8,624 square meters. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commemorate the excellent work done by the Inkubeko Youth Science Center, also noting the positive involvement and support from the Ward Councillor, Councillor Toto. I thus propose to Council to accept the recommendation A to I, and that's on pages 2422 and 2423. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Ntondini. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm going to be speaking on this. Justice, one is to say that the work that the organization called Inkubeko is doing in our area to assist with the youth development. I'm saying youth development because of they are doing a lot of things for the young people in the area of Thembalethu. Speaker, it is in this item again that you'll hear us singing in unison with the counterparts, in particular in this item that is ushered in by Councillor Johnson. We as the ANC, we support it, and we are very glad that it has taken, or it has come to the point where the municipality is taking this decision, because it's going to be with great vigor assist in Gqubeko to be able to expedite the processes that needs to be followed after this. With those words, Speaker, we are saying thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Katana. You have 1 minute.
Mandisibulisele somlomo apha kuni nonke ngenxa yomsebenzi owenziwa yiNkcubeko Science Centre omhle kakhulu. Ingaba ndenza okubi xa ndinawuthi ndiyabaxhasa bobabini oogxa bam, ingakumbi uward councillor uToto, because sisebenze kakhulu sobabini when it comes to inkcubeko. Enkosi, Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. Now, because of the great work that is being done by the Gqubeko, I will not be doing justice if I would say I do not support both of my colleagues on this item, especially the ward councillor. We've worked together and we did a great work working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The item therefore carries. We move on to 511, which in principle approval of the leasing and future utilization of Erwin 16012, 16013 and 16014 George, also known as the Masakani Mall premises situated in Levikamp. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Johnson. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As mentioned, this item deals with the Masakane Mall in Levikamp. We all have seen the depleted state of the containers and the general bad state of the property just next to Nelson Mandela Boulevard. Council currently have no agreement with the entities that operate at the Masakana Mall. This item then seeks to come to an agreement with the entities operating at the mall to ensure that basic service delivery, such as our water, sanitation and garbage removal, are done. Due to the absence of an agreement, Council could not previously spend available funding in that note. I therefore propose to Council to accept A to L as per the agenda on pages 2489 till page 2491. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Toto. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. 1 minute is not enough, but we'll try to jog through it. Speaker, this is a very good initiative to drive employment, economic development in our town through small business development. My problems are the threats to this, the rumors, in fact, that there's an intention from certain people, of which I don't believe, to get rid of this property and alienate it to the ownership of a foreign organization, of which I don't believe, listening to or reading the item in front of me. I think I want to commend the decision taken by the Mayor to set up a team of officials to assist, but I think the assistant is going to go beyond what is said with commencement of work, because what you find here, Speaker, is that those of us that understand history of this area is that there is lack of leadership. And the fact that I'm seeing, or I did not see, the mention of the councillor and the ward councillor, it's really alarming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Carolus. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. The PBI is in support of the in-principle approval for the leasing and future utilization of this piece of land, namely called the Masakani Mall premises. Dit is echter ons, en voor ek verder gaan wil ek ook net sê, ons ondersteun die ANC en wat onze comrade nou daar gesê het oor wat daar gebeur. Die co-op bestaan daar sedert 1994 en is 2500 square meters.
Sorry, Councillor.
politieke wil is vanaf die kant van die
You're busy, Councillor,
Come again?
for breaking up.
En dan wil ons vra of daar politieke wil is om hierdie groep. Ja, speaker, ons wil vra of daar politieke wil is om hierdie groep besigheidsmense van Lawaaikamp te help om hierdie perseel te ontwikkel tot 'n volwaardige besigheid. Ons wil ook vra dat die munisipaliteit 'n ruim bydrae moet lewer deur kapitaal beskikbaar te stel en die LED-departement te gebruik om hierdie perseel te ontwikkel sodat hierdie mense behoorlike ondersteuning kan geniet. Speaker, ons moet ook egter die vraag vra of hierdie groep mense die regte mense is om hierdie besigheid te bestuur.
Sorry, Councillor, your time is up, unfortunately. We're going to move on. Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander. You have 1 minute, please.
Dankie, Speaker. Ons as die PA verwelkom die ondersteuning aan alle klein besigheid, veral daar in die area Lawaaikamp en Botsjet en die omliggende gebiede. Ons hoop ook net dat die plaaslike besigheid sal voordeel trek uit hierdie projek uit en dat dit net deursigtig sal wees en bestuur word deur ons lokale mense, plaaslike mense en dat ons ook net ons gemeenskap, dit baat nie ons in hierdie tipe projekte en ons besighede word nie finansiëel support nie en dit is wat die gebruik is dat ons mense as local business, die vorige projekte wat daar was in Masekane, ons besigheid ouens het nie genoeg support gehad en ondersteuning gehad, finansiëel as ook in besigheid nie. So ons hoop daar is projekte wat sal help om hulle te help. Baie dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. We as the PA, we are in support of these small businesses, especially in our areas, the Lawaaikamp and other areas as well that were previously disadvantaged, because these local businesses, they need to be supported because previously they were not supported, hence it failed in the management because there was not enough support to actually support these local businesses. So when it comes to support and developing any local business in our areas, we are in full support.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Clark. You have 1 minute, please.
Speaker, I second the proposal by Councillor Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The item therefore carries. We move on to item 5.12, item 5.12, a rectification of a council resolution taken on January the 25th, 2024, in respect of the sale of ERF 7950 Buckelsdorp, situated at the entrance of Rosedale, to be developed as a retail and shop facility. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Brandes. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. This item is serving as a rectification on the item of the sale of the property at the entrance of Rosedale to be developed. At the E-Council meeting held on the 25th of January 2024, it was decided to put ERF 7850 up for sale. Upon drafting the advertisement, it was discovered that the ERF description, namely ERF 7850 Buckelsdorp, referred to the above resolution was not the correct number. It is supposed to be 7950 and not 7850. So therefore, I propose this recommendation on page 1513 as stated to revoke and rescind and obviously replace the number. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item, therefore, is Councillor Alexander. You have 1 minute. Thank you very much. They're going to be passing, so I'll move on to the next speaker, which is Councillor Roelofse. You have 1 minute, please.
Good morning, Speaker. Good morning, everybody. I support the recommendation of Councillor van Brandes. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Item 5.13, council recess 26 March 2024 to the 2nd of June. I don't think anybody wants to deal with this. We can move on. I'm just joking. Could we please have Councillor Brown You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to state, before I start, I want to state my presence in the meeting. It seems that I was not clear enough when Ms. Bredenkamp called the roll call, so I just want to put that on record. Where the item is concerned, the President has proclaimed the 29th of May 2024 as the date for the government general election in the run-up to in the run-up to the election. It is foreseen that councillors will be involved in various political activities. But in the item, it reads that council approves the recess period from 26 March to 2 June, and that special council meeting will be held on 29 April and the 17th of May. But I would like to propose an amendment to the recommendation to read that council approves the recess period from the 26th of March until the 7th of April, and from the 25th of April to the 2nd of June 2024, and the special council meeting to be held on the 24th of April 2024. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next speaker on the item is Councillor Peterson. You have 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, the item serving before us, that is a very long time where service delivery will suffer. Also, the Mayor and the MM will be allowed to sign contracts to the value of about 10 million rand. Our question is, who will benefit here? The business of council cannot be put on hold whilst a national agenda is being pursued. Whilst the recess is planned, it can also create an opportunity for financial misconduct to happen. We are all aware of the current shortcomings in the administration, and therefore we as the PBI cannot support this item. We today are dealing with a lot of items under the auspice of a special council meeting that should have served at ordinary level. We ask you to reconsider this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I think that the next one to speak on this item is Councillor Lawsey. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I will support the item, and yeah, I second the item.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The item is therefore adopted. We will be on recess from the 26th until the 7th, and then resume until the 26th of April, and then we'll move to the next recess. Thank you very much. Item 5.14, impact of the DFFE requirements on Kleinkrans sewer upgrading capital projects. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Stander. You have 3 minutes.
Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to address Council on this, on item 5.1.4 of today's agenda. This is about the upgrading of the Kleinkrans bulk sewer system project, which is a critical project as the pipeline has reached its capacity and service lifetime limits. The initial process with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment started in November 2022. A license was extremely strict with extremely strict conditions to the value of approximately 4.8 million rand was only issued by DFFE in February 2024. The approximate value of the contract project was 9.9 million rand. The license specified rehabilitation measures to the value of 4.8 million, that excluded. After negotiations with the DFFE, this cost was reduced to 1.8 million rand, VAT excluded. The additional cost for rehabilitation specialist is 340,000 rand, VAT excluded, must be added to this. This resulted in a conservatively estimated shortfall of 2.5 million rand to date for completion of the project. The Directorate Civil Engineering has no other alternative than to submit an item to the Budget Education Committee to extend the contract value for the additional cost for compliance with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment requirements. I therefore propose the recommendation that Council take note of the time and financial impacts of the DFFE license process and requirements on the Kleinkraansbach sewer upgrade project. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Toto. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'll be using Kantilanton in his laptop or device. One must mention the disappointment that we have as the ANC, because for anyone or for such a big institution like George Municipality not to have done a proper research around this project, because all these that of today that we must go to the bid committee for extension of rates or escalation of rates or for extra expenditure on this project could have been kept. So this reflects on bad planning. That is one. Two, it cannot be that we want to cry foul today of the natural of the department that has been said by my colleague not to have been, or as if they are not working together with us. It is just procedure. We are government. We must follow the suit. So, Speaker, I am saying that let us allow the department to give us guidance, because it's more got to do with legislative matters. But again, if this is going to be the new norm of when we are to implement programs or projects that we don't budget or we don't plan properly, we'll find ourselves within this kind of a predicament. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Foster. You have 1 minute, please.
Hi Speaker, dit is belangrik dat die aanvanklike lisensie aansoek vir tender toeganklik moet wees vir ons gekleurde jong mense wat gekwalifiseer is. Die proses is reguit vorentoe en dit kan 'n geleentheid skep vir 'n jong bewaring om sy gesin deur hierdie projek te ondersteun. Dankie Speaker.
Thank you. Can I have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. It is much important for this licensing to go to tender and it be accessible for our people, because the process should be fair, because there you will find people who will actually qualify for such. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Johnson. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We take note of the time and the financial constraints put onto the Kleinkrans sewer upgrade capital project by the DFE requirements, and I second Councillor Stander's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person that therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is 5.15. A waiver application for upper limits for councillors, municipal manager and directors. The first person to speak on this item is Alderman van Wyk. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. This item relates to a consultation process that we are proposing to enter into with the MEC for local government, and then ultimately to the Minister of Local Government of Kochta in relation to the remuneration that is being paid for our senior managers and then also for councillors. And this then relates back to the grading of George as a municipality, and what we are proposing that we then be upgraded from a grade 5 municipality from the official administrative point of view to a grade 6, and from a councillor perspective from a grade 4 to a grade 5. And the reason for this is that our population is at a very, very small percentage below limits that have been set for a movement to the higher category. However, George is finding it extremely difficult to recruit the people with requisite experience and skill base that we need within our organization due to the salary levels that are set in terms of the various grades for municipalities. surrounding municipalities, and I'm going to use Bito as an example, have managed to achieve such a waiver and accordingly are able to pay higher salaries than the salaries that are being paid at George Municipality. What we're also finding that within the task grade system, there are 14 of the managers that are earning more than our senior managers are earning, and that this is accordingly is a disincentive that is taking place. So therefore, we are asking for council to provide this mandate that we can undertake the consultation process to achieve these upgrades. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Peterson. You have 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, this item cannot be fully supported by the PBI. We want to pay directors on a grade 6 Munich salary scale. We know there are other processes that needs to be followed in order for this municipality to be elevated to a grade 6 municipality. National legislation determines when a municipality will be moved to metro status, and this attempt to circumvent the process cannot be supported. Who's fooling who in this process? We as the PBI believe that the only alternative is to support the move to a grade 5 municipality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Nkamile. You have 30 seconds.
Enkosi somlomo thina siyi-EFF siyavumelana kunye ke noxa wami lo usanda uphuma we-PBI. We cannot fully support the item as much as siyivuma ukuthi ke uGeorge Municipality bekufanele ke kudala eye ku grade 5 in terms of grading ngokwe population esinayo apha ke kwisithili saseGeorge. So ke siyavumelana ne-PBI. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The
Thank
translation,
you,
please.
As the ANC, we agree with our colleague from the PBI that we cannot fully support this item.
Please.
As much as George Municipality was supposed to be on a grade 5 level because of.
Sorry, ma'am. Just one correction, please. You've interpreted incorrectly. Could you please correct it? It's the EFF and not the ANC that spoke previously. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Paulus, can you just correct your translation, please? Can you continue with your translation, but just correct the party that's spoken?
The PBI speaker said the EFF supports the PBI.
You said ANC, ma'am. Just continue, please.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we as EFF would like to concur with a PBI in terms of the nitty-gritty of the issues.
Thank you, Councillor. Sorry, Councillor. Councillor, thank you. We'll continue with the interpretation. You've had your turn to speak. Mr. Paulus, could you just please continue?
Thank you, Speaker. As the EFF, we agree with the previous colleague of ours, the PBI, that we are not in support of this item. As much as we say that George Municipality was supposed to be on a grade 5 scale or level because of the population, but we do not support this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last person to reply, I'm not sure who's the speaker on the list. Could you please continue? You have 1 minute.
It's Councillor
Thank you,
Katana.
Speaker. Councillor Katana.
You may continue.
Speaker, can I proceed?
You may continue.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, this has got nothing to do with metro status, but it's just upgrading to grade 6, Speaker. I second the recommendation made by Leon. Thank you. grade 5.
Sorry, that would be the Alderman van Wyk, the Mayor. Thank you. The item therefore carries. Thank you very much, councillors. That brings us to the end of the ordinary open session of this council meeting. I'm going to ask that we go in, have a break between the ordinary council and the confidential, and that we resume at let's make it 25 to 1. 25 to 1, we will resume with the confidential. If we can just have a body break and something to eat, to drink, whatever, and we'll be back at 25 to 1. Thank you.